Hey, my name's Holly Lamb, and in today's video, I'm going to be trying a different style that I'm used to. I'm going to be working in the rustic farmhouse style, and the inspiration for this kind of grew and evolved in the last couple of weeks as I've been watching some YouTube creators and Facebook crafters. But we're going to start off here at the Walmart photo kiosk, and I was printing off some pictures of my daughter Hope and her husband Chandler's wonderful, beautiful pictures from their honeymoon. They went last month in June for their honeymoon in Spain and Italy, and they were married last October, but they've been waiting and planning for this great trip of a lifetime, and they had a wonderful time. Now, I was printing off this picture. I decided to blow it up to an 11 by 14, and they'll do that for you there at Walmart, but you have to, come back. They order that out. So I was changing up this, frame. I found it at a thrift store for $3.25, and I was going to add this little plaque from the olive crest mold, and so I painted the frame, I distressed it a little bit, and then I waxed it with some Waverly white wax, and I knew that would match her living room. And then I was gonna use this Model Magic because I've seen some creators making fake bakes, making pies and cakes and breads, and using this Tracy Campbell from My Sweet Home Living. She has been using this Model Magic in her pies and in her cornbread, and so I wanted to try it. So I got me some Model Magic, and I found the best deal I found, and I'll show you some more of it. And I found it at Family Dollar for $3 for 4 ounces. That's that bag that you see right there is 4 ounces of Model Magic. So I put some baking soda. Now you could use cornstarch, you could use flour, you can use, any kind of, you could use baby powder, lots of things that you probably already have at home that you can use to prep these molds for clay. I'm used to using air dry clay, and this is a type of air dry clay, but it's a foam clay. So it's very light, and it was really easy to work with. And of course these IOD molds have that little rim to where you can just kind of push it right off, and it molds beautifully. So I stuck it in the freezer for about an hour, and I flipped it over as I normally do for air dry clay, and I started pulling them out, and I'm liking it. And I noticed that it was, they were still very pliable, but they were holding their shape. It wasn't stretching out or breaking or anything like that. And so I wanted to put that little plaque right down there, and I was kind of feeling it out and realized that it was still very, very flexible, and I was kind of wait till it hardened up a little bit. And while these were flexible, I thought, well, let's go up and try this out a little bit. So I grabbed a jar. This I just got a long time ago at the Dollar Tree sometime. It's one of those ball jars that don't have any other impressions in them, so they're nice blanks. And I put Titebond on the back of the mold, and I'm trying to treat it kind of gingerly because that's what I would normally do with a casting that's this flexible. And I'm making sure that every part of the casting is connected to the glass and will dry nicely. And so I'm happy with it. Nothing's cracking or doing anything that I wouldn't want it to do. I did put the painter's tape on it because I normally would do that with the air dry clay because it's heavy, but this foam clay is not heavy at all. And so even after all that, my little plaque is still very flexible. It's, dry. And so I decided to just let it sit there, and hopefully it would dry out. And I decided to paint this with the plaster chalk paint by Waverly. And I'm going to make this jar kind of nice. And I've been watching this creator on Facebook. And actually, I found her on, it's My Sweet Home Living with Tracy Campbell. I found her on YouTube. She does lives on Facebook, but she posts them on YouTube. And so she does this rustic style. Well, my daughter came over, as she often does, and she said she loved the frame and it would match her living room. So she said not to worry about the plaque. And so I thought, okay, I'll still see if it'll dry out, but let's see what else I can mold with this Model Magic in the meanwhile. So I get out one of my Redesign by Prima molds. This is the, let me make sure I've got this one right. It's Fun Farm Friends. Sunny Morning Friends is the name of this one. And I got it from Vintage Bee Designs on their Whatnot sale. And anyway, these don't have, they're great. They're beautiful. They got lots of detail. They don't have the little micro rim. So they're a little, I don't want to say more challenging. They just are, take a little bit more to get them down in the molds. But I love these roosters and these chickens. And careful. I was so careful. And I'm not, this isn't like TV magic or anything. I did not have any of these castings break or tear or crack or rip. And this is the real test right here, this weather vane. I'm being careful, of course, but I didn't have it tear. And I was able to kind of, mold it and move it around. So I kept going. Now, Deidre at Our Upcycled Life has a great Etsy shop, and I'm a member of her graphics club. So I got this graphic, I downloaded it to my computer and printed it out, and I'm going to put it on a big jar I found at the Goodwill, and I'm going to make this little creamery picture. I'm going to put it on this big jar, and like Tracy does with a lot of her jars, she uses a lot of jars, and I'm just like her. I can't throw a jar away. A good spaghetti sauce jar, or if it had jalapenos in it or something, I can't throw it away. And wash it and get it ready for something. And I usually just mix up paint and different things in them. But anyway, this is the acanthus mold from IOD, and I like the little swirls. It looked like the swirls that were on that creamery graphic. And so here I'm showing you, this is more of the castings from the this 4 ounces of Model Magic. That was $3 at Family Dollar. And so, we're filling up a tray here. See, there's the little lip. Can you see the micro rim right there? I just wanted to show you. Looking gorgeous. Not one cracked, not one broken, but I still had Model Magic. So I got out my primitive mold. I was embracing the rustic primitive style that Tracy likes. And also Jen from Mother Time does a lot of this rustic primitive look. And so look at this. Watch that. Wow. Did you see that rope? I'm going to be using that rope in a minute. Still pliable. Love it. So here is what, and you have to picture the two things I've already put on the jar, the two big ropes. That's 4 ounces of Model Magic. Not bad, right? So at Pop Shelf, they had the 4 ounce bags for $4. They had buy one, get one half off, so that would be $7.50 for 2 at Michael's. The big container is $17 at Michael's and $24 at Walmart. And Walmart has the 4 ounce for $4.50. But Family Dollar, that was my cheapest one here in Brunswick. Now, you can get them. Oh, see, okay, so here is Tracy from My Sweet Home Living on Facebook. I've put her link for her YouTube channel and for her Facebook channel. But now, in every one of her videos, she uses something called grunge mix, her grunge mix. And so I decided I'm going to make it up and see what I can do with grunge mix, which I've never used before in my life. And so, hey, it's time for something new. We grow and we change. And so I've got the recipe coming up on the screen there for you. It's 1 cup warm water, half cup of the instant coffee crystals, 2 tablespoons vanilla, and I use the cheap stuff, and that's what she tells you to use. Get the cheap stuff from Dollar Tree, and then 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and I got that from Dollar General for $1. And mix all that up, and that's what's in that ball jar right there. And then she also, all her decoupage, she uses something called Coffee Podge. And she describes it as 3 parts glue, and I had a little bit of that gloss Mod Podge left in that one, so I threw that in there as well. And 1 part of her grunge mix. And P.S., this stuff smells fantastic. Not the Mod Podge stuff, but the coffee grunge that I'm dipping in right there with that little paintbrush to do my feathering feather cut. It smells great. It's really giving me fall vibes, getting me in the fall mood. So for the rest of my video today, I'm not going to use any water or any kind of regular Mod Podge. I'm going to use this Coffee Podge and this grunge mix that Tracy has inspired me to use. And so here goes the label from Deidre's channel, and I have linked her Etsy shop down below, and she has a great YouTube channel as well, Our Upcycled Life. She's amazing. And so I'm just painting this on, decoupaging this on, and I'll use the paintbrush and also my fingers. There we go, all done. Now I want to get a crackle finish on this as well. I'm embracing the rustic, embracing the the grungy rustic vibe. And so I'm going to go ahead and cover this with the Mod Podge, and we'll fool with the lid later. And then I'm just going to let that dry. Okay, now I printed off some more labels. I did some fruit labels. It is still summer. And those are from the Graphics Fairy and from Cloud Petals Co. And let's see. Oh, and then from the Paper Outpost. And so I've linked all those channels below. I'm not affiliated with anybody, but I just, want to make it easier for you if you wanted to try to find some of these. And then I use the, the water technique, in this case, the grungy feather technique, because I'm not using water anymore. I'm using this grunge stuff, and it makes a really pretty edge, She paints this on everything, fabric, paper, everything. So here we go, a wood. I'm going to show you, I'm going to do some spoons here in a minute, some wood spoons. I fussy cut a few of these labels. Yeah, there we go. And then I feather cut a few of the labels. So we'll use one of these. That was from Cloud Petals Co. on Etsy. And these downloads are really inexpensive. And then, of course, you just keep them and you can reuse them. I'm going to use that baking powder one. And so here we go. I'm just using some alphabet noodles on either side to keep my jar still. And so here comes the Coffee Podge. And then I've got my feather cut labels that are already kind of grunge. I have a laser printer, color printer, and my toner cartridge is getting low, but I'm dedicated to use it until I just can't use it anymore. So you can tell the distressing that comes with the download. It's a little bit purpley blue, but it's okay. I like it. It's still summer. All right. Now, you will never guess what this is. This also is an inspiration from Tracy. I have never seen anyone use, I've used a lot of coffee filters in my crafting life, but I've never used my Louisiana tea bag filter paper. But she did this one day and used the papers for decoupage, and I thought, well, I brew a big thing of tea. My husband and I drink unsweet decaf tea all day long, every day. And so I have plenty of these. So I let them dry. And then, here we go. Grunged papers, all set for me. I found the best way to use that was needle nose plier and then break the staple. There's one staple. Break it in half and then, pull out the staple. And that's all you have to do. So I didn't worry about feather cutting it on this jar because it was a pretty good size. So I just, cut off the excess there and then, coffee podged it on. And then I am going to feather cut a little bit on this one because this is a salsa jar. And yeah, I just wiped up what was left on my cutting mat with the tea bag. Why not? With the, tea paper. We're embracing the grunge. And so I put that on, and then I'm going to put one of these fussy cut labels on, and then Tracy would just, paint that grunge stuff on top of the labels, no problem. And the nice thing about this grunge mix is the cinnamon. It really doesn't incorporate. It stays, it stays cinnamon. And so it's a bark technically, so it's going to, it's not going to incorporate like sugar would. Of course, you wouldn't want to use sugar because we don't want to get ants or anything. But it makes a beautiful texture on this stuff. All right, I love these from Amazon. These have a timer, 6 hours on, 18 hours off. And so I've got them set on inside my jars, and they take a little button battery, and I've used these over and over for a couple of years now, and they work great. And so I don't have to worry about, and isn't the glow inside these decoupaged with tea bag paper jars. Aren't they pretty? Now I'll show you my lids, my process for the lids in just a little while. All right, back to the creamery jar. The coffee podge is now dry, and so I'm going to put on my moldings. The castings from this Model Magic is still very pliable, but it is, I would consider dried, you know, in quotations, because I can push pretty hard on it, and I'm not worrying about any painter's tape or anything anymore. This Type Bond is, you know, getting the job done, and it's not sliding anywhere, because these little Model Magic castings are so light. This is foam clay. They're just light as a feather. So I take the plaster chalk paint, and I'm going to go ahead and put that over the coffee podge and then let it do its thing. I don't add any heat to it. It's going to crack all by itself, but if I wanted it to crack more, I could have used my heat tool to make it crack a little bit more. But I am putting a nice thick coat on. And then I'm going to come back with a kind of a wash, a very thin wash over the label, but a thicker wash with the grunge mix and the paint over the paint. So it will crack with a grunged version of the plaster paint. So there it goes. I'm putting some of the grunge mix in my plaster paint, and that's of course going to water it down a little bit, which is fine. I've already got it covered really well. It's already starting to crack, and I am going to paint the bottom there, making sure the moldings were all nice and grunge. Now, you know, this is not as dark as Tracy would take it, so I'm just putting my toe in this. But I love the crackle. Fabulous. Looks like an old creamery jar, doesn't it? We're going for Rustic Farmhouse. And then I've already put the grungy Mod Podge on top of the label there. Of course, that's what I put it on with, but I want to incorporate a little bit more. It's a, you know, milk jar or milk jug. And so I put just a lot of water in that paint that I just made with the grunge mix. And I just paint it on and then kind of buff it off. And, you know, I have a wet wipe on one side and a dry paper towel on the other. And if I get too much, I use the wet wipe. And if I'm using the dry paper towel there, and I just kind of buff it in to how I like it. And I love the way this turned out. Again, I'll show you the lids in just a minute. I kind of do the lids all together. But I really love these castings, and this Model Magic is just my favorite right now. It's just so fun and easy to work with, and that label kind of grunged and made all pretty. Oh, I love it. Okay, now I picked up one of these from the Dollar Tree. It's kind of a milk jug looking thing, and then one of these jars also from the Dollar Tree over in their glassware section. And the little milk jug one, it's plastic, but it looks like glass right there, but it's plastic and very light. And then of course the glass jar is glass. And so I'm going to take that rope that I pulled out of the primitive mold, and I'm going to put it on the edge of this little milk jug looking thing with Type Bond. And I kind of worked it. I was putting it on the outside of the edge, but I kind of worked it up a little bit to where it would just meet. Okay, so we put that right there. I've got all kinds of moldings on and castings on this little jug that I'm going to be putting some wood spoons into in a little bit. And then I'm going to finish up this jar I started with. And I printed off those labels from the Graphics Fairy. Now, the Graphics Fairy, if you're on their newsletter, I've told this before in my videos, if you're on their newsletter list, they'll send out free graphics on Friday. Always on Fridays. Fabulous Friday or Fun Friday, free graphics. I don't know. Anyway, every Friday you get an email or an email and their newsletter, and it has lots of fun stuff, fun things you can download and print. So this is from the Graphics Fairy. Love them. Their website is below as well. And so these are great little graphics that I printed off, and I don't mind to push on them with my finger like that because they are, they're printed with toner, so I don't have to worry about them bleeding. But if you have an inkjet, you'd probably want to heat set that ink, or you know, spray it with some Rust-Oleum clear or something like that. But I just love those castings. Oh my goodness. That I put, you know, I did the cover with the Coffee Podge paint, and or the grungy paint, and I just love that beautiful texture, and it's a lovely, you know, kind of a darker version of the plaster paint. I am loving this. Okay, now I couldn't resist this. This is kind of silly, but I took my, you know, this is my aversion to throw away anything, and I cut off all the parts of the label that were ugly, you know, all the writing and stuff, and kept that retro look. You know, Mod Podge has been around for over 30 years. I think 32. But anyway, so it's got that retro look. I love the label. And so I did the whitewash, or that, you know, the grungy wash on top of that label as well as all the things. And I put those fun little flowers from all the different moldings, and I'm still using that same, all those castings from that same 4 ounces of Model Magic, and I just couldn't resist that one. That was kind of fun. Okay, here come the lids. Now I just took them outside. Of all the different lids I've been, or, you know, jars I'm using in this video today, some are plastic, some are metal. I just decided I would use Rust-Oleum gloss and make sure that, you know, it wasn't going to come back off. And, you know, when you use that Rust-Oleum gloss, I do it outside, of course, because it's going to smell. And because it uses chemicals. There's nothing natural about that. But it sure does a good job keeping the paint on. All right, so I mixed some more cinnamon into my Coffee Podge there in that little plate. And I'm just going to coat all of them with this, you know, Coffee Podge cinnamon mixture. And I'm going to, you know, just load it up, get lots of texture with the cinnamon. And then this one, I started just pouring cinnamon on stuff and letting it dry. And that's where, again, another inspiration grew. I'm going to be taking, I don't know if you've been noticing in my little reveals, some little farm animals around. And we're gonna cinnamon those farm animals in just a minute. So here I am making a little wash with this paint mixed with the grunge. And I knew immediately, here I'm pouring, that's my tea cup right there. I knew immediately that it's still too thick. So adding extra tea to it. And then just wiping it off. And so I get that little whitewashing to see the cinnamon and the texture there from that grunge mix that Tracy makes, and that I got the recipe from her. And so you can get that on her Facebook page. She has it pinned at the top of her Facebook page. And the link to that is in my description box. So this one, I just, you know, I started pouring cinnamon on lots of stuff. And I put it on the bottom. You wouldn't have to. And then I just let that sit. And then when I just kind of brushed it off. And whatever came off, came off. I'm not going to seal it. I'm just going to let it go. Now I'm going to use one of just the white Dollar Tree mop heads. There's 2 of them that you can choose from. But I'm going to use just the plain white ones. And they already are kind of a nice color, off-white color. But I'm going to go ahead and grunge them up because that's what we're doing here. And it pulls apart into 6 little pieces. And I kind of like the way, after I rolled it in the cinnamon, I like the way it kind of had a variegated look. So I'm gonna leave 2 of them or 3 of them that color, and then I'm gonna grunge up the rest of them. Or maybe there's only 4, you know. Maybe there's only 4. Anyway, I did half and half. Half I totally cinnamonized, and then half of them I kind of left. Half looks like a peppermint stick. And so I'm just going to wrap these. These just have cinnamon on them. There's no Coffee Podge or anything like that. And so I'm just embracing the rustic, and I really love the way this looks with, you know, this lid. It just has a little bit of the Coffee Podge on it and the little rustic look to it. And I just love the way that looks. That little rustic look is so pretty. I decided to leave this one without the ropes because I really put a nice wash on that lid and I wanted to show it off. And then, of course, there's my crazy Mod Podge. And I wrapped that one with the cinnamon colored yarn from the mop head. And there's that one. You can see kind of the stripes on that one where I pulled apart the pieces. And then that one is the totally grunged with the cinnamon, but that's just cinnamon, guys. And this smells so good in my dining room, I'm just saying. Now, I don't know if here are these little guys. Did you notice my little animals that I have around? And then those wood spoons. All right, so here they are. There was two there. There's a wild animal set and a farm animal, so I picked up the farm animal set. And I'm going to use the Spanish Copper Rub and Buff. Rub and Buff comes in a bunch of colors. And I love the gold and the antique gold, but I'm going to use the Spanish Copper. And I really fell in love with this color when I did these bunny rabbits from the Dollar General back before Easter. And so I'm going to do the same treatment on these farm animals. Now I'm trying to figure out which ones are going to stand up and which ones are going to tip over. So I had to do a little bit of bending and manipulating on a few of those. But after a little bit of encouragement, I was able to get them to stand up. And one of them, you'll see I'll prop up with a shell. When I set it on my dining room table, it still wants to tip over. But I was picking them out. There's two of each animal, and I can't remember. I'll have to look back, see how many animals came in the set. I want to say 12 did. But there's horses and cows and, sheep and goats and pigs and so cute. The only thing I was missing, there's a cute, like a cute dog, like a Shetland sheepdog. Is that what that's called? But anyway, beautiful dog. You would expect to see running behind a tractor. And how pretty. And so I thought this Spanish Copper was the perfect grunge color. And so I got them all grunged up there. There they are. Half of them. Love it. There's the sheep. And then half of them, there's the sheep all covered in cinnamon. I'm just taking off any extra cinnamon that, was left on those after they dried. I just covered them in that coffee podge and then rolled them in cinnamon and let them dry. And then my fingers just have a dusting of cinnamon on them. I picked up each one of those Spanish Copper covered animals, and I'm just putting a dusting of the cinnamon. So they look a little bit dusty, but they're not, they're not nearly like the cinnamon covered ones. So there they are. There's the little pig. Oh my goodness. And this horse with his all covered in cinnamon. He looks so handsome. There's a cow. And I love this little touch of whimsy in my little vignette there in the hutch in the dining room. Right there by the creamery jar. Here's the one that I have kind of propped up. That little cow did not want to stand up, so he's propped up on a shelf. Then I put some under a little cloche. Okay, now at Pop Shelf, I was out there a couple of days ago, and I found these for $1. And so, of course, Dollar Tree has wood spoons for $1.25, but, if we're going to save a quarter here, save a quarter there. And so these were actually the pictures from the Paper Outpost. And Pam has a bunch of beautiful graphics on her Etsy shop. And you can download those and then save those to your computer or to a hard drive. External hard drive. That's what I do. I have a big jump drive that I save my graphics to, and I can reprint them if I, need to or want to. And so, feel free to check out Etsy and gosh, you could just search anything and those digital downloads for it, I'd say. And so I'm making sure I only put the coffee podge in the part where I wanted the picture. So like in those spoons, I only put the coffee podge. Of course, I'm doing the scraper there, but or the paddle. But in the spoons, I only put the coffee podge in the concave part of the spoon. Because when I come back with my sanding block there and with my nail file in a minute, I only want to get, I want to get this out of everything but the concave part of the spoon. So there I go. I'm just kind of fixing that up. And then I'm going to cover it up with the coffee podge. We'll have all that nice texture from the cinnamon and that color from the instant coffee and the vanilla. And boy, this stuff, I mean, the coffee pod doesn't smell so great, but the grunge mix really is making things smell nice around here. All right, so see, there we go. I'm trying to really detail that around the spoon. And then I'll go back and just make sure it has that little bit of a distressed look. And then it's going to get a couple of coats of that colored coffee podge. Making sure to take my smaller nail file to get the spork. And make sure that it's all cleaned out, nice and clean. But look how many, I put a couple of coats of that coffee podge on there. Look how dark it is now. Those were really light colored wood. And so I'm really loving this kind of grungy look. I know my castings are not terribly grungy, but you know, we're gonna grunge up this little rooster here. I didn't have room for him on any of my jars, so I'm taking this cheese grater that I used and spray painted back a couple of videos ago. I did a spray paint video, quick flips with spray paint. So we're just going to add it to this little spray painted and distressed cheese grater I found in the bins one day. And then I'm just going to paint on this coffee podge, and I'm trying to grab little bits of the cinnamon and make big chunks. If there's some coffee crystal chunks in there, I'm trying to grab those for different shades of this grungy color to make our little rooster bit so handsome. And then I still had some more of these tea bag rectangles, so I decided to take some of my wire and make just a little bow. And so I took 3 of those rectangles and I just scrunched them up in the middle, and that's it. Now, if I'm going to continue with this rustic theme, I'm going to have to get much grungier metal wire than this stuff I got at Michael's. This is way too shiny. I need some rust wire. I don't know where you get rust wire. I guess I'll have to make it myself. I don't know. But look at that. I love that bow, and who would have thought those were tea bag filter papers. Awesome. Thank you, Tracy and Jen, for the inspiration for this grungy primitive look. I'm loving it. He's so handsome. Look at there. Oh, I want to thank you so much for watching today, and hopefully you got some inspiration. If you are not used to this rustic primitive look like me, maybe you'll try some, especially with fall coming up. That'll be so fun to use. I'm really getting in the mood for fall crafting with this grungy look. It's a lot of fun. All right, I want to ask you to please hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment and tell me your favorite. And I want to leave you with Psalm 8 and some words from the Psalms. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is mankind that you're mindful of them? Human beings that you care for them? You've made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You put everything under their feet, all flocks and herds and the animals of the wild, the birds of the sky and the fish of the sea, all swim in paths of the seas. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. So fun. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll come back and subscribe to my channel and watch some more fun projects. I'm having so much fun this summer while I'm off of school. Look at that little sheep right there. So God bless, and from the Blue House on the Corner, enjoying relaxing summer days. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.